I guess I'm not the only one who thinks that Dennis Allen is the worst head coach in the NFL. Guess I'm not the only one who is tired of seeing the captain of the bum squad as the head coach of my team. As you guys know, I am a diehard when it comes to my Saints and Pelicans. Gail Benson, she is the owner of both teams, and if there's one thing that Gail Benson seems to care about more than anything else, it's hiring what she calls high character guys. Over the years, I can't tell you how many times I have heard, we value our culture, we want high character, nice guys in our locker room. That's fine. That's fine. I have no problem with that process if it's working. Is it working out for the Pelicans? That remains to be seen. The Pels are basically tied for fifth in the Western Conference right now. The playoffs this year are going to determine whether or not the nice guy approach is working for the Pels. What I know with 100% certainty, it ain't working for the Saints. Both Willie Green and Dennis Allen are nice guys. If you're looking to buy a house in a nice neighborhood, you want these guys to be your neighbors. If Dennis Allen is your neighbor, you don't have to worry about his bushes being overgrown and growing into your front yard. You don't have to worry about his dog coming over to pay you a visit and leaving you a nice surprise by your mailbox. If Roscoe Allen makes a doodle in your yard, Dennis Allen will grab the gloves and the garbage bag and come over to scoop the poop. Hell, this dude is so thoughtful, he would probably bring over some Febreze so you didn't have to smell the fresh turd. If we were grading Dennis Allen on his character, if we were grading him on his ability to be a good neighbor, Dennis Allen would probably get an A+. Unfortunately, though, for Denise, no one gives a shit about your nice guy character. The only thing that fans of the New Orleans Saints care about is winning. I'm not talking about winning 9 games and missing the playoffs. I'm not talking about beating up on easy quarterbacks like Tyson the Bagger or whoever the fuck the Bears had at quarterback when Justin Fields was hurt. I'm talking about the ability to compete at a high level against the best teams in the league and make a deep run through the playoffs. Throughout his career as a head coach, Dennis Allen has beaten one team with a winning record. One. Well, Casey, that's not true. He's beaten 2 teams with winning records. I don't count that win against the Eagles in 2022. Jalen Hurts was out. Gardner Minshew was the starting quarterback that day. I'm not giving you credit for beating a damn Gardner. I could beat Mike Gardner in a game of basketball. Does that make me an NBA player? No. Every year during the NFL Combine, the league, they give players an anonymous survey where they grade their respective franchises. Each team is graded on their facilities, their cafeteria, their weight room, the amenities offered to the players. Now, obviously, if this survey was conducted in the WNBA dump, they would receive an F. Porta potty restrooms, lack of running water. If players want the luxury of flying to road games, they have to work as flight attendants. The amenities in the dump are just awful, non-existent. NFL teams, though, they give their players adequate facilities. Daycare, for example, is offered on game day. This year, the league added 2 additional metrics to the survey for players to grade: team owner and head coach. According to his own players, Dennis Allen received a B-. Now, that's pretty good, right? When I was in school, my parents were absolutely elated on the rare occasion when I received a B-. But in a competitive league like the NFL, a B- puts you at the bottom of the grading curve. In terms of head coaches, Dennis Allen was ranked 29th. The 3 coaches ranked below him are no longer coaching in this league. So, what does this player survey tell us? The message is clear. It's the same message that I repeated over and over and over throughout last season. Dennis Allen is the worst head coach in the NFL. It's no longer me saying it, the players are saying it. There were a couple of notes included with Dennis Allen's grade. 84% of the players in New Orleans believe that Dennis Allen is efficient with their time. Translation: this guy is fucking clueless. He doesn't know what he's doing. 84% might sound like a good number, but once again, it puts Dennis Allen near the bottom of the grading curve. This next point is what I thought was most telling about how players perceive Dennis Allen. The survey didn't apply a percentage here to this point, which I would assume that means all players feel this way. The players feel that Dennis Allen is somewhat willing to listen to the locker room. That is a damning statement. Is it starting to make sense now why Jameis Winston and the rest of the offense defied Dennis Allen on the last play of the season last year? Being willing to listen, that is a sign of respect. When the locker room tells me their head coach is somewhat willing to listen to their concerns, what it really tells me is they don't feel like their head coach respects them. As a result, the players have little to no respect for Dennis Allen. It's not hard to understand why. After Jameis Winston and the offense pulled that stunt, pretending like they were going to kneel and run out the clock, and instead running Jamal Williams for a touchdown, Dennis Allen, he was given the opportunity to show his roster that he was going to have their back. Now, he didn't have to agree with what they did. He didn't even have to accept it. He was well within his rights to ream their ass in the locker room, but publicly in front of the media as the head coach, you take up for your guys. Now keep in mind, the Saints pulled that stunt against the Falcons, their most hated division rival. In the aftermath, what does Dennis Allen do? He becomes Denise, and he completely throws his team under the bus. Watch for yourself.
Apologizing to Arthur Smith and the Falcons. That was not a play that we intended to run down there to finish out that game. That's not who we are. That's not how we operate. We should have taken a knee. So I want to apologize to them. We got a good rivalry, and it's a heated rivalry. But there's a way we go about doing our business, and I wasn't happy.
What the hell are you doing? Why are you apologizing to your biggest rival? Why are you apologizing to a coach that you knew was about to be fired? Who gives a shit about Arthur Smith and his feelings? You need to be worried about the players in your locker room and how you just gave them yet another reason to not respect you. In my opinion, Dennis Allen should have been fired on the spot. Hell, if it were up to me, he would have been fired in October of 2022. In a game against the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football, Andy Dalton threw 3 interceptions in the first half. If I remember correctly, I think 2 of those interceptions ended up being 2 pick sixes. Dennis Allen was interviewed coming out of halftime, and they asked what Andy Dalton needs to do to get the Saints back in the game. Dennis Allen responds, Andy should just keep doing what he's doing. This insufferable fuck has no self-awareness, doesn't have the respect of his players, doesn't know how to build a culture. Basically, Dennis Allen doesn't have a clue. And look, if you're a fan of the Saints like I am, don't fall for these delusions of grandeur. Don't fall for the trap thinking that things are going to get better. They're not. Throughout the offseason, Mickey Loomis, he has been blindly defending Dennis Allen. He needs help offensively. That's why we fired Pete Carmichael, the Peter Beater, and brought in Klint Kubiak. Credit where credit is due. I was pleased with the hiring of Klint Kubiak. This locker room is in desperate need of a new voice. They need an outside perspective. Hiring Klint Kubiak is definitely a step in the right direction, but that is not going to solve your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is you have a nice guy trying to be a leader of men. You have a beta male trying to lead a locker room of alpha males. You have a private in the position of captain. You could have the best staff. You could have the best coordinators in the league. That's not going to cover up for the fact that you lack leadership at the most important position. And more importantly, he's incompetent. It's incompetent leadership. How am I so confident in this? How do I know that this is not going to work? You don't have to take my word for it. Listen to Amy Trask. Amy Trask was the CEO in Oakland when Dennis Allen was hired as their head coach. Year before he was hired, Raiders were 1 win away from making the playoffs. 2011 Raiders won 8 games. Now Dennis Allen, he's hired in 2012 with basically the exact same roster from 2011. Under the leadership of Dennis Allen, from 2012 through the first 4 games of 2014, the Raiders won a total of 8 games. How does that happen? How did a perennial playoff team go from 8-8 to 8-28? The mentality of losing started the first day Dennis Allen was on the job. Don't take it from me. Take it from someone who was there. Listen to Amy Trask.
Is he has not changed his leadership style. I observed him for a year. Day one, he's hired, calls a staff meeting or asks that a staff meeting be called of every single person in the organization. And everyone was so excited. The auditorium was packed. And he got up. Not only didn't he demonstrate leadership to enthuse the staff and to excite the staff and to lead the staff, he was derisive, and people walked out of that room just stunned.
Now, you might be thinking, Casey, this was over 10 years ago. People grow, people change. You're right. People can change certain things about themselves. People can grow, but your character does not change. Your mentality does not change. You're either a leader or you're not. Once you reach a certain age, you are what you are. Throughout the offseason, Mickey Loomis, he has told Saints fans to ignore Dennis Allen's record in Oakland. His record in Oakland is meaningless. We should only pay attention to his record in New Orleans. Well, Mickey, his record in New Orleans is dog shit too. But it's not about his record in Oakland. That's not what bothers me. Bill Belichick had a bad record in Cleveland, but his record didn't reflect his competence. His record didn't reflect his overall ability. Bill Belichick made a lot of mistakes in Cleveland, but he learned from those mistakes. Dennis Allen hasn't learned from the mistakes that he made in Oakland. He's the same incompetent doofus in New Orleans that he was 10 years ago in Oakland. I challenge you to find one former player who has come to the defense of Dennis Allen. There are plenty of players who have praised Sean Payton, plenty of players who have talked about Bill Belichick. I challenge you to find one, just one. Find one player who has spoken highly of Dennis Allen. At 51 years old, this dude is not going to change who he is. He's an excellent defensive coordinator, one of the best defensive minds in the league. He was instrumental in the Saints' run the final years of Drew Brees' career. When Dennis Allen can coach the defense and have someone else lead the team, Dennis Allen can flourish. But when it's his responsibility to be a leader of men, Dennis Allen is a huge embarrassing failure. 5 seasons as a head coach, or 4 1/4. You're 24-46 with a 34% winning percentage. At this point, it could not be more abundantly clear. Dennis Allen is a loser. But give me your thoughts. Dennis Allen, ranked by his own players as the worst head coach in the NFL. Someone please explain to me how he still has a job in New Orleans. For the first time since 2006, I have zero confidence in the Saints as an organization. I have zero confidence that this franchise is heading in the right direction. Once again, the NFL has gifted the Saints with an easy schedule next season. Once again, the NFC South should be the worst division in the league. And once again, I am not going to be surprised if the Saints miss the playoffs. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if this team went 4-13 under the leadership of Dennis Allen. Convince me that Dennis Allen is the right coach for my Saints. Try. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.